She walked into the courtroom, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor. Her face, carefully composed, seemed calm, almost serene. But behind that calm, tension rippled like water ready to spill. This wasn't just any trial. This was a case that would reveal betrayals, lies, and a shocking twist no one saw coming. Everyone expected a straightforward hearing. Instead, the courtroom would become a stage for revelations that would shake everyone present to their core. It began years earlier, in a suburban neighborhood where life seemed ordinary. Jenna Harwood met Michael Cole in 2011. They married within 2 years, sharing what friends described as an enviable life. A home filled with laughter, a young daughter who became the center of their world, and careers that promised stability. But happiness, as often happens, hides under the surface. Arguments started small, disagreements about finances, parenting, and minor grievances. Slowly, tension built. Friends noticed Jenna becoming quieter, withdrawn, and increasingly suspicious. She spoke often of being wronged, of injustices, and of how the world seemed to be closing in. By 2016, cracks in their marriage were visible to anyone paying attention. Legal documents began piling up. Custody discussions that should have been routine became battlegrounds. Jenna started confiding in someone new, a former law enforcement officer, someone she said understood her frustrations and fears. Their conversations grew frequent, sometimes heated, sometimes filled with plans to protect her family. Authorities later found that what she described as protection soon turned into something much darker. Late one summer night, Michael received a message from a stranger claiming to have important information related to their ongoing custody dispute. Trusting the lead, he agreed to meet at a quiet, secluded park with his brother accompanying him for safety. But waiting there was more than just a conversation. A threat had been set in motion, one that would change the course of everyone's life. Michael was harmed, but fortunately, he survived. Investigators quickly traced evidence, communications, digital footprints, and physical traces that led directly back to Jenna and the former law enforcement officer she confided in. When confronted, Jenna maintained a calm exterior. She insisted she had no knowledge of the incident, claiming she was only trying to secure safety for herself and her daughter. She portrayed herself as a worried mother, desperate and innocent, but the prosecution painted a different picture. They argued that she had orchestrated the meeting, manipulating both the law and the people she trusted, motivated by fear of losing custody and control. The courtroom was soon filled with tension, every eye watching her, questioning her sincerity, waiting for the first crack in her composed demeanor. The trial revealed months of planning, miscommunication, and growing resentment. The prosecution presented a compelling narrative that Jenna had carefully plotted, using fear and influence to manipulate her former confidant into action. Every detail, phone records, witness statements, and behavioral analysis was laid out meticulously. The defense countered, insisting there had been misunderstanding, that Jenna had only sought advice and never intended harm, but the evidence seemed to leave little room for doubt. Then came the moment everyone waited for. Michael took the stand. The man who had once trusted and loved her now spoke with a mix of pain, determination, and clarity. His words described that night, the fear, the betrayal, and the realization that someone he had cared for had placed him in danger. He spoke of the long road to rebuild his life and how difficult it had been to process the manipulation he faced. As Michael recounted the events, Jenna's carefully maintained composure began to falter. Tears appeared, soft at first, then overwhelming. She clutched her hands, her breaths shallow, as the weight of reality finally pressed down. For years, she had maintained a narrative of victimhood, portraying herself as wronged and innocent. But in this moment, with her former husband recounting the truth, the courtroom saw through the carefully constructed facade. The jury listened intently, absorbing every detail, every emotion, and every inconsistency. The prosecution emphasized accountability. The defense highlighted intent and misunderstanding, but it was the personal testimony that struck the deepest chord. Afterward, Jenna was led away, tears streaming, her reality now fully set against the walls of the courtroom. Some onlookers believed this was genuine remorse. Others saw it as the final act of someone who had lived much of her life orchestrating appearances. Yet the focus remained on justice, on the law recognizing the severity of actions, ensuring victims were protected, and reinforcing that manipulation and betrayal could not evade consequence. The case left lingering questions. How often do appearances mislead us? How easily can emotion and resentment cloud judgment? And how does one rebuild trust after deception of this magnitude? Legal analysts, psychologists, and community members reflected on the broader implications, the importance of transparency, the dangers of emotional manipulation, and the role of the justice system in navigating complex human behavior. Jenna's story, while tragic, became a reference point, a reminder that the choices we make, even under emotional strain, carry consequences that ripple far beyond ourselves. Her tears, her courtroom presence, and the testimony of the man she once trusted became part of a cautionary tale, a lesson about accountability, the human psyche, and the limits of control. In the end, it wasn't just the verdict that mattered. It was the clarity brought to a situation clouded by deceit, fear, and ambition. Viewers watching this trial witnessed more than a courtroom drama. They saw a study in human behavior, the collision of perception and reality, and the undeniable truth that manipulation, no matter how carefully executed, will eventually be revealed. The story closes with reflection on justice, on morality, and on the profound impact one's actions have on the lives of others. This case remains a sobering reminder. Actions have consequences. Truth cannot remain hidden indefinitely, and the law ultimately seeks to balance human frailty with fairness and accountability. Every courtroom encounter, every testimony, every piece of evidence builds the story, not just of a crime, but of humanity, accountability, and the pursuit of justice.